Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Quality. It's Friday, the 3rd of July, 2026. Welcome to those who are joining us live today. Thank you for everyone who's saying hello in the chat. We've got some good folks joining us. Demi, Rosie, Adi, Gary, Helene, Chris, Neil, Rich. Wonderful to see you all here today. And to our listeners who are coming back to this, once again, welcome. This is an official Ministry of Testing Motiverse event, so be mindful of the code of conduct, which is available on ministryoftesting.com. So if you're hanging out in the chat, be mindful. If you're joining us on stage a little bit later, also have that in mind. So this is a Hot Takes TWIQ day, or HTT, WIQD, HT-TWIQ-D. There's many ways you can say it, and it doesn't get easier when you try and say it without reading a script. So what is hot takes? What is a hot take? Well, this could be anything that's on your mind that you're like, oh, this is a bit spicy. I've got this opinion of something. Come and join the stage in a bit and tell us what your hot take is. You can share it in the chat as well, and I can read that out loud to our listeners today. This is a safe space for us to share. So it is an environment where we can debate things, we can disagree with each other, but we want to do it in a kind and encouraging way if we can disagree with each other. So we can share some hot takes. This is a good opportunity to get stuff off your chest and put stuff out there, right? It's important to do so. I think maybe sometimes we'll try to make sure we don't upset anyone. And of course, we never want to upset anyone. Yet that might stop us from holding back some things that we do want to share with the community. So take HT-TWIQ-D as an opportunity to share your hot take with an audience that will very much welcome what you have to share, whatever it may be. But please be mindful of that code of conduct. Okay, folks, so before we jump into Hot Takes TWIQ Day, there's loads going on in the Motiverse. So if you aren't up to speed on what's been happening, a reminder for listeners who aren't so familiar with the Motiverse, if you head over to ministryoftesting.com, try and build a habit, try and build that 5-minute habit to land on the the homepage 5 minutes every day if you can, or every working day if you can. There's always good stuff happening. I've got a mega list of things here that's going on. I'm really unsure where to start. We've got a few themes coming through. We're talking about like career growth. There was that post, "Stop waiting to be noticed." That was an insight that went live fairly recently. Are your highest value skills aimed at the right things? I saw a really good insight shared by Sarah Deary. Turn your learning into evidence, which included a very cool Claude skill. So for those of you who have access to Claude, give it a go. It helps you read, watch, or listen to something on the Motiverse, and then it asks you questions. It prompts you with things to help cement your learning. It's wicked, and it's really cool. And maybe that can spark some hot takes, maybe some your reflective learning that you do when you consume some things on the Motiverse will spark some of your hot takes. So do go check it out. It's called Turning Your Learning into Evidence. That's by Sarah Deary. It's awesome. Okay. And also around motivation, don't worry about motivation, grow with motivation. So that's a nice little play on words, as we like to do here in the Motiverse. And I appreciate for some that may cause challenges if English might not be your first language, but we do use these terms to keep things fun and light. So we change motivation to motivation. It's a play on MOT, Ministry of Testing. But we do apologize if it causes some confusion. We do mean it with good intention when we use terms and language that is kind of, I guess, motiversion speak, I should say. And as AD shares in the chat, motivation, I had fun editing that article. An excellent read indeed. And that was from Judy Mosley. So do go check it out. That's all available. All of our articles and insights and our recorded insights, calls for insights, are available on ministryoftesting.com/insights. Loads of good stuff to dive into there. Other things that are getting a little bit spicy or hotter. Yeah, there was one around quality tooling silos, where if you're using certain tooling, it's a risk, right? And the risk is this: when quality and testing tools, repos, or automation only get used by the quality team and never touch the developer workflow, a silo forms. Feedback, risk visibility, and quality work end up living in a separate world from where the code actually gets written and scripted. So, this is a risk. So we are capturing more risks on the multiverse that you can use these in conversations. You can use them in planning sessions, in stand-ups. Maybe it's a chartering session where you're coming up with some test charters. Start using these risks. You can find them within the insights as well. And that insight was inspired by something that Natalia Burmai shared around silos. So think about, is your tooling causing a silo? That could perhaps lead to a hot take. Okay. Plenty of other stuff. I saw a good moment around AI is changing how we write code. Should it also change our definition of ready and definition of done? So, good question, right? Something to ponder, something you might like to join the stage. What impact is AI having on our definition of ready and definition of done? Often those two, the DOR or the DOD, are hotly debated, and it's contextual for a team to work that out. So tell us, what's been happening in your teams? How are you modifying your definition of ready, your definition of done, if you are using AI to help develop your software? Okie dokie. Oh, here we go. A hot take from Gary Hawkes in the chat. Gary shares, hot take. We will never get rid of silos, but we can reduce the size of their impact. Oh, very good. I like that one, Gary. Be up for exploring that one with you up on stage. Alexander sparks an idea, the definition of vibe coded and the definition of vibe deployed. I like that. That's brilliant. We need to get them on the glossary. I like that a lot. What would that be? That would be DOVC or DOVD. DOVDA. That's a nice acronym. Yes, as Alexander Romanov shares, it's just deploying with our fingers crossed, hoping for the best. Like the very good old days, should I say? But maybe they weren't so good old days, and hence why us testers came into existence, and the reason why we have had jobs since, right? We should not be deploying with our fingers crossed. Hopefully, a lot of us are past those days, but do appreciate it still happens, and maybe that's a hot take. A lot of us are still deploying with our fingers crossed. That could be a hot take. Again, something we could discuss on stage if you would like to. Okay, folks. Well, so lots going on. Do head over to ministryoftesting.com. The homepage will update. There's no fancy algorithm for that. It really is us at Team Multiverse amplifying stuff that we see that's shared in the Multiverse and promoting it to the homepage to help people spot and discover people in the community that are sharing good stuff. Our role really is to lift and amplify people and point people in directions that we believe will be helpful. So do go check out the homepage if you don't do so already. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share a couple of hot takes that are on my mind or have been for a little bit. And then, see where it goes. We can debate those hot takes. We can also debate some of the stuff that's been shared in the chat. Or if you have another hot take completely, you can put yourself forward to join the stage in a little bit. There should be a button up at the top. If there isn't, let me know and I can put a button there. I think it might not be there, just looking from my side. So let me go and do the button thing. Join the stage queue. And let's put that there. Add to stage. There we go. That should do it. Oh, it is there. Okay, it looks like I've added another button. Hopefully there's not two buttons on top. Hot take, can you have enough buttons? Or I believe you can never have enough buttons. That should be my hot take. There you go. There are two now. Okay, let me remove the other one. Oh, I can't remove it. Remove from stage. There we go. Yay, it's gone. There we go, folks. Live production testing. Thank you, AD and Rosie, for your feedback. It's good that I am organized and I put that button there previously, but as host, I don't see it. Okay, so a couple of hot takes. Hot take number one is this: AI chatbot dependency is stopping community members from discovering each other. Say that again. AI chatbot dependency is stopping community members from discovering each other. And what I might do, let's sling that in the chat for those who are following along live. That is a hot take. So let me describe a little bit more. Good question from Alexander. So I'm going to argue that we are becoming too dependent on AI chatbots and agents for our answers. So are we asking less of each other as humans in the community? So asking a question is a form of knowledge sharing. And of course, answering a question is a form of knowledge sharing, both for the person who asked it and the person who answers it and everyone else who will read a conversation, listen to a conversation. So are we compromising that knowledge sharing opportunity because a lot of us are going ask AI first, or AAF, ask AI first, or AIF, if I want to come up with another acronym. So my argument is we have to make more intentional effort to speak with fellow humans. Recording conversations matter more than ever. Asking questions of each other. So ask community first, or ACF. That's my argument. That's my hot take. AI chatbot dependency is stopping community members from discovering each other. That's hot take number one. Second, actually, I should comment on the comments that are coming in. So Gary Hawkes shares, agreed. I think the use of AI chatbots is a silo accelerator. Oh, that's a nice way of framing it. Alexander Romanov shares, AI will not argue with you. Real person can. Indeed. Yeah. And maybe in that context, we could encourage the AI chatbot to argue back. Like, start an argument with me. Disagree with me. Should be fun. And hot take from Rich Adams. Most of us aren't asking AI first. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I like that hot take. And AD Stoke shares reducing rather than stopping, but Ask Me Anythings are going strong in the Motiverse. Demi has just posted a lot of answers. Yeah, thanks for calling that out, AD. So Demi van Melkot, fellow TWIQ co-host, has been answering questions about the similarities between baking and software development. There's a couple of really good answers she's put already, and it's just so cool. I love those type of AMAs where we try and connect our nice bubble of the world of tech quality and testing and connect it with other stuff that's happening on this planet, other roles and responsibilities, and joining them up. They work as helpful metaphors and help us see things perhaps from different angles. So yeah, do go check it out. If you just head over to Demi Van Malcott, her profile, actually I featured it on the homepage, one of the answers, so that should still be on there for those listening along live. Go find that AMA moment, because that is available. Okay, coming in from Helene, agreed as well. My most frequent search terms are still question plus Reddit to get something other than the official answers. I see. Making good use of Reddit. I got it. Good stuff. We'll keep the comments coming in, folks, and we can debate this up on stage soon if you wish to. I'm going to give you another hot take that's been on my mind for a bit, and I'm kind of hinting at here and there. Here's the next one. It's about exploratory testing, a big passion of mine. So I have a bias here, but here we go. My hot take is not enough people are talking about exploratory testing. Not enough people are talking about exploratory testing. So Ash Winter and I, we talked about it recently on a call for insights. We had software testing live with Ben Doan and Melissa Fisher the other week, and that is now live for those who couldn't attend in real time. It's brilliant. The whole session on risk. And I was just like, oh my goodness me, this is just the coolest thing ever. Two professionals exploring the concept of risks, what are risks, a working example, and then the audience jumping in as well. It's absolutely brilliant. I really want to see more of that stuff. And also, this hot take I came up with earlier on this week, But I saw that Calamakers Ryan has put out a good post. I think it was yesterday that we put on the observatory, which is a place where you can catch all sorts of links, add your own links, other people's links. And Callum argues that we can use AI for exploratory testing. And he shares a good example, and he's also added a Claude skill. I'm yet to try it out, but I'm very curious to give it a go. Probably inspire me if I can find the time to create my own Claude skill or Claude set of Claude skills. I can already imagine a whole set to help people with their chartering, not necessarily the running of their session, but the chartering part, the thinking about risk, thinking about value, thinking about questions you could ask, your oracles, help you work your time box and all of that stuff. But again, that's for another time. But I'm not seeing other stuff. Like, who else in the community is talking about exploratory testing? And it's so important. It's so much. It's like, given what's happening in the world with AI, given that we are going faster by churning out more lines of code and we're churning out more software, there's risks in that, right? And I think now more than ever, we really need risk-based, focused exploratory testing techniques. We need to use those techniques. We need to sharpen those techniques. Perhaps, of course, we can use AI to help us with that, but we really need to focus on exploratory testing now more than ever. So I would love to see more people talking about it. That's my hot take. Not enough people are talking about exploratory testing. Feel free to agree with me or disagree with me and start a debate. I very much welcome it. Some comments coming through on the chat. 100% agree from 80 Stokes. I'm going to assume that is the reference to not enough people talking about exploratory testing. It probably is, given the time. Alexander shares, by the way, we don't have join this stage queue button now available, only speak on the main stage. Is that expected? Yes, speak on the main stage. That is me trying out some new wording to hopefully make it clearer that people can join the stage. So give the button a go, Alexander, and you'll appear backstage and I can bring you up on stage and we can have a chat. That's cool. Thank you for doing that, Alexander. I'm just going to go through the comments and then let's get you up and chatting away. And as Alexander shares, exploratory testing, I just shared my blog post, a review of Elizabeth Hendrickson's Explore It book in the Observatory today. That's so cool. I really want to read that. I love Explore It. It's one of my favorite testing books, along with Agile testing, which actually, a little segue to a call for insights that went live this week with Lisa Crispin, the co-author of Agile testing. We explored the DORA's AI capabilities model. So 7 capabilities to help you as a team when it comes to AI. Lisa's got loads of insight. Like, I could just listen to her for hours. So do go check out that call for insights. We explored it. She shared some brilliant examples, picking her favorites and reflecting it back on how teams have developed software over the years. It's well worth checking out. And Gary Hawkes shares, agreed again, and that applies to my own team. All right. So Gary's team needs to talk more about exploratory testing and do more about it. I'm with you, Gary. For rapid software testing point of view, we don't have exploratory testing. Testing is exploratory by nature, of course. Yeah, I do get that argument. Rich Adams, I feel like exploratory testing gets discussed and promoted, but it isn't something you get learning opportunities about, as AI is the hot topic for talks and courses. Yeah, absolutely. And AD is highlighting again in the observatory, there is a link to Callum's blog, who writes about doing exploratory testing with AI. Yeah, thanks for that reminder, AD. Do go check out the observatory. We recently redesigned it. We tried to simplify it, make it perhaps a bit more accessible. It's a list view now. You can see who added the observatory item. You can see a couple of tags. You can easily mark stuff as read, add a star. And whenever you click on one of those observatory links, the person who added it and the people who are credited will also get a star as well. Rosie Sherry sharing in the chat, a round table for exploratory testing would be good. Heck yeah, that would be awesome. Okay, well, Alexander, let's get you up on stage. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining. First of all, I should ask, how has your week in quality been? What's been happening?
Hi, everybody. I think it's the first time that I join since we changed the rules and allowed to turn on the camera. So, so it's It's an interesting to not only hear us and also see us. And in terms of my week in quality, yeah, it was a lot of exploration on what AI can do or can't do, and also applicability of AI in learning. Because I'm preparing right now a workshop on learning and learning with AI, and it turned out that there are a lot of capabilities that are hidden and very, very small amount of people know about their capabilities from AI that we can use for to learn better, basically. But that's another story. We have hot takes this week. The first hot takes was, I think, about AI chatbots and that we are talking to them instead of real humans. And my point of view here is I think it's rather yes, but the thing is, um, before the AI came out, we did the same thing with Google. And the thing is that it all depends on us. It all depends on the culture inside the team, because in some cultures, it is expected that senior people with a lot of years of experience, they will know everything, and they will just um, they will not ask any questions. And if you, as a senior person, want to ask or do ask question in the chat or somewhere, it will show everybody, or maybe in your mind, it will be a revelation that your skills are not so good, so you are asking. Yeah, I saw some examples of such people in my career, but the thing is that, and the thing that we need to remember is that no matter of how many years we have, years of experience, there are a lot of information, there are a lot of technologies. We can't know everything. And even AI does not know everything. Uh, Probably AI knows something, but we don't know how much, we don't know how good this knowledge is. And we need to, we as users of AI and we as the testers or quality people, we need to be able to critically evaluate it. So that's a big question. I think it will appear more and more uh, in in many communities, including MOT community, because this evaluation require even more skills that we used to, because the speed of generation of this information is pretty fast, but the speed of evaluation will not be so fast. So that's another interesting hot take or a point of debate on how we can evaluate, because some people say is that we can evaluate also with AI, but that's make us not human in the loop. That makes us human out of the loop, and then AI will do everything, and human will just be outside of the road. So
Love it.
that's
Oh,
that's all.
that's amazing, Alexander. I love those insights and those hot takes. I'll share some reflections if that's okay. First of all, I think you had a hot take earlier on that when people, what is the applicability of AI in learning? A lot of the capabilities are hidden. I think that is a hot take, right? And the more we can surface those hidden capabilities, the better. So people can get a little moment and they're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. And I think the example that Sarah Deary, the Claude skill that she built to help people kind of just work out how they can learn about a particular thing and reflect on what they've just read, watched, or listened to is one example of that. So, yeah, I'd love to continue to see your insights on that and sharing that with the community. That's very cool. Um, I think your point about evaluation I find fascinating, because I wonder, as testers, quality people, become AI evaluators of AI systems, can they then take those evaluation skills and apply it to, everything else that they're doing, like how they evaluate the effectiveness, the impact, the power of AI itself. So maybe there's like a sort of a cross skill. I don't know. It sounds a bit messy what I'm sharing there, but it kind of makes you think like, do we need to build like, I don't know, an evaluation toolkit, or we probably have it already, right? It's just bringing it all together, like our critical thinking skills, our systems thinking skills, our risk-based approaches that we have that we can apply to anything, AI or not. I wonder if we bring that together so people have a starting point. But yeah, you got me thinking about lots of things, and I love Demi's comment in the chat. I love that take. Is work culture preventing the growth of community? Oof, that's a great question. And I would say if that was a statement, Demi, is a hot take, work culture prevents the growth of community. There you go. That's a hot take. Yeah. And Alexander, sorry, just before we jump
Yeah,
back in, just I also want to call out a comment from AJ Wilson. Thank you, AJ. We cannot rely solely on Gen AI to perform exploratory testing, despite the current trend/fad. Exploratory testing is a process that requires a human tester's expertise more than ever. Evaluation, learning, and continuous iteration to extract valuable insights. Absolutely, AJ. Thank you for sharing that. It's very cool. But yeah, feel
and
free to jump back in.
yeah, and some people can argue with the statement that AJ just shared, because developers also said that coding is a highly skilled activity that requires a lot of human effort, and right now AI can generate code in a pretty decent quality in some measures and in some apps, but yeah, maybe exploratory testing also can be somewhat outsourced to AI. But uh, in continuation to this topic, there is a concept, or not a concept. It's like a way how AI systems or AI models are tested. It's called LLM as a judge. So it's using one LLM to evaluate results of another LLM. So maybe at some point, or some people can say that we don't need testers at all. We just spin up a set of LLMs that will evaluate the results of other LLMs. And at some point of time, yeah, we will be um, out of our jobs. I hope not, of course, because everything right now, at least at this current stage of the development, everything is um, probabilistic in terms of AI. And the thing is, um, it depends on what we are doing with AI and what we are testing with AI. So if you can accept the risk, or the probability of error is pretty low and the risk of error is pretty low, then some companies can just do testing with AI, and that's will be totally okay. But in the projects that can't have these kind of, or can't accept these risks, then AI will not do all the testing. Same with coding or DevOps or any other activity that we have.
It's such a good point, and it's like it just makes me think. I would love to, for us to build a database like that's cut by, say, industry and completely anonymized, but somehow gather data on like risk appetite per industry, and whether there's certain industries we would think that would be very risk averse, whether they are lowering that to enable AI to do its thing, to code faster, 100x, release times and all of that stuff. And then, seeing what the impact of that has been on team morale, on job roles, whether, workforces are cut, whether, these systems fall apart, or whether actually they're fine. And it's like, took the risk. We took we took a chance on this stuff. But it's just, where does that data exist? Are companies, organizations going to be willing to share it? Probably not. We do hear, there are some stories out there which are helpful. but it's just trying to get to the nitty gritty of what's really happening. And I think this is what I found interesting for those folks who were able to head to London a few weeks ago for the Leading with AI event. It was lots of like, this is what's really happening chats. And I really welcome that. And it's, real examples. This is what we're doing. This is what we've seen. These are the challenges we've faced, and companies and organizations and people at those companies being willing to share. But I do wonder what the risk appetite is for, well, all sorts of industries. Those, let's say even the world of startups who typically like, let's build things and break things and just keep iterating. Like, are they just suddenly accelerating shipping and accepting the fact that it's going to annoy a lot of their potential early adopters? I don't know, right? We've got to find this stuff out. Yeah. What do you think, Alexander?
I think it would be a very interesting service to build because if we will have a map of such industries and their tolerance to risks in terms of AI, that can help candidates to find industries that are, let's say, that are not adopting AI, or they will adopt it somewhere else or somewhere in the future. So for some time, let's say, we will be in a safer place, so we will not be substituted with AI at all. And in terms of startups, even before AI, even before all of these things that can be generated, um, generally speaking, small startups didn't have any QE person at all up to some point, because they are just building products. They are checking hypotheses. They are breaking things, as you mentioned. Then um, I don't think that's like a separate QA person will bring a lot of value, but at some point, of course, some kind of process, quality process, should be established, and then the test engineer is hired.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like this wave of hiring that will happen where jobs become more secure and abundant for testing and quality professionals. And I know a lot of folks out there would probably disagree with that sentiment. They're like, it's tough, it's hard, can't find a role, but I know it's very complicated, right? And I don't want to make it be so reductionist, if that's the right word. But is it beyond our control with what's going on in the globe right now that is just stopping companies from hiring? I don't know the answer to that, but maybe it isn't just AI. In fact, if anything, to your point, Alexander, it may create a wave of companies going, right, we need to double down on this stuff. Um, I think of, say, Mirza Sijik, his course, the software testing in regulated industries, a beginner's guide. Like, that's great. And it's still so relevant. If anything, it's probably more relevant. Um, it's just great, right? Like, there is stuff like that available. Like, it's the essential foundational stuff, AI or not. It's all about risk. It's all about understanding data protection. It's understanding OWASP, GDPR, all of that stuff. Which I just can't see that disappearing. Like, I just can't see that organizations would take that much of a risk. And I think to Adie's point, how anonymous would it be, though? As in, if we were able to get this data on companies, so risk appetite dictates a company's exact thresholds for failure, financial loss, and strategic gambles. It would be making their weak points known, essentially. Yeah, exactly. And competitors would jump all over those weaknesses if they were that way inclined. Um, so yeah, the topic of risk, it's a good one. How much do people want to talk about risks, expose those risks to help other organizations? Is it wise for organizations to be public with all of that stuff? I guess it depends on the industry, the type of organization, whether it's public or private, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, some good stuff coming through on the chat. Um, I see Gary has shared, while humans continue to be the objective that our software should benefit, quality engineers would be pretty safe. Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Yeah. If it's, AI, building for AI, perhaps you're saying it's something different, Gary, but the fact that we're still building software mostly for humans, we should be all right. I think that's what the point you're making, Gary. Hopefully, I've understood that. Thumbs up in the chat. Good stuff.
Yes, and what I see in the overall industry and from the news that just recently, in the recent months, we have a chain of events where companies that made layoffs due to substituting people with AI, they're starting to rehire people because the expectations of AI were too high, and after that, it turned out that it is not possible to substitute in some cases people with AI. So maybe it's a sign of like overall of maturing the industry. So we understand what AI can do or can't do. So the limitations, the risks, and so on and so on. And I can talk about the risks of AI, especially for our learning and developing our skills. And there are a lot of different risks, and we need to be aware of. Like a lot of people are not aware of, and they are just um, using AI unconsciously, and they are even substituting it with substituting our own mind, our own thinking with just AI, and they are just act as a a system that copy pasting and questions to AI and copy pasting answers from AI to the system. So just vibe thinking something.
Vibe thinking. I want to add to that, Alexander. You reminded me of something that's been on my mind. Maybe it is a hot take, and I'll try and frame it as a hot take. Vibe speaking. Go with me on this one. I think vibe speaking is having a detrimental effect on how we communicate as humans. So someone gets a response from an AI chatbot and they copy and paste that and then say, so it's like maybe it becomes their voice. And I know for if folks uh, are, let's say someone is having to write in English and English isn't their first language, I can understand how we can use tools to help us. I also think when people use a tool to kind of share their point and you know it's from AI, you're like, this is not your voice. Like if you write it out and you made loads of spelling mistakes or things were back to front or it didn't quite make sense, we can make sense of it, I think, as recipients, and that's fine. I'd rather someone express themselves as themselves with their opinion as themselves. Doesn't mean they can't consult AI to support how they're going to frame things, but just like put it out there as yourself. I want to hear your voice, you know? And when I do read some things, I'm like, is that really that person saying that? Doesn't really sound like them. I've heard them speak in other ways before. And maybe, you know, there's a situation where they just need to be quick, fair enough, or they can't be bothered to write it themselves. Or yeah, I get a little frustrated by that. I wanna hear real people, the real deal. And if that means spelling mistakes or something that doesn't quite perhaps initially make sense, I love that because then we can ask questions and we can get to know someone through asking questions and we can help encourage those folks to expand on what they mean when they share something. And that's the good interaction. Um, and as Demi shares, if you can't be bothered to write it yourself, why should we be bothered to read it? Oh yeah, hot take. I'm taking that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally true. And in some cases, as you mentioned, these AI tools can help to fix some grammar mistakes. But I personally, I'm turning off the features of AI tools that suggest not only grammar checks, but some stylistic check or something else. So I completely agree that it will kill the voice of the author at all. So it will be just regular text and without any idea and any uh, without an image of an author or the style. So I think it will at some point it will become a big market of AI that generates text, and as Debbie mentioned, some other AI agents will read the text, and it will be just a continuous loop of reading and generating some bits and bytes of text with no purpose, and it will be a small market of handcrafted texts. It's not only for blogs; it will be for books industry, for anything else. For example, any form of arts. So handcrafted things will cost more and will be valued more than the things that is generated by AI. That's my opinion, and I hope that it will be true at some point.
I agree with you on that one, Alexander, and I also have the same sentiment. I hope that does become a reality. It's just fascinating that because our online presence can be different from our in-person presence, and that's just the reality of being online and in person. Like it's sometimes very hard to express ourselves in written format, for example, as like this is this person. There's subtleties with body language and how we communicate and how we use voice and tone. I go quiet, I go really loud. There's just examples. So for someone to outsource that to a tool, you get this whole different persona of this individual. And I'm like, I want the real person. I want to have who are you? Like, who are you really? And people, I understand people don't have to reveal all of themselves and their personality as professional lives. I totally get that. But let's just, kind of put the tools aside to write when we're having interactions with each other as humans. And I see we have Gary and Demi appeared off stage for a little bit. We're going to get you folks on in one moment. I just want to call out some of the things that are happening in the chat. So Adam Foy shares, I had someone reply to me in a one-to-one on a Teams chat with AI a few months ago. It was really jarring. Oh, yikes. I bet it was. Helene, I've seen people in my entirely optional language classes use AI for their homework. Why are you even taking the class then? Oh, wow, really? Rosie Sherry, and I'm a big advocate of this one. I have less and less tolerance for any AI comments in community. Indeed, 100%. Alexander, I reckon let's get Gary Hawkes to join us. Jump on in with some hot takes. Gary Hawkes, welcome.
How you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you doing? How's your week in quality?
Yeah, it's been quite tough, and I think like one of the things you already mentioned is the silos, and it's battling the silos wherever they spring up, and some of them that are just unplanned. And I think, like as I said earlier, so when you're on your first hot take on the AI chatbots, was exactly so. My point was exactly that, was that they're a silo accelerator, and so you tend to find it's so easy to create silos. We start at the very top where we sort of separate teams and then give people job descriptions, and we kind of like architect silos. So there's always got to be work done, communication work to bridge those silos always. And the thing is that like you'll get instances that, for example, we'll have developers will get say something, and say, okay, well, I'm gonna. So before AI, they'd say, leave this with me, I'll have a look at it. So they'll go away and have a look at it, and then come back. Well, I think this is the problem. What do you think? And then you'll get that kind of breaking the silo and getting that kind of collaboration, and it's great. What happens now is they go off, they ask AI what's wrong, they tell you what's wrong, and then while you're there, you can probably fix some other stuff as well. So while they're away in their silo, they come back. They don't just come back to say, I think I found the problem. They go, found the problem, fixed it. And while I was there, I made some other changes too. And it's like, oh, well, that's a silo accelerator, isn't it? Because now we need to understand, well, what else have you changed? What did you fix? What was wrong? And yeah, so I think that's definitely the sort of weaknesses there around the AI chatbots, and I see that more often, and of that kind of activity going on. I kind of see like it's turning from you said like destroying, not destroying, but it's damaging collaboration. It's and especially in our organization where we're learning about AI, and I understand that. I understand everyone will learn and find things of their own, but it's then kind of, if you're not careful, it'll turn it into an individual sport where you start to get like an organization where you've got the haves and have-nots, and the people that are winning with AI and the people that are losing with AI. So you really do have to manage that situation, I think, very, very carefully. So that's my AI take. I want to try to keep that short because I think Alexander kind of nailed it quite well. So I'm not going to emphasize that. The other take that you sort of mentioned was on
Gary. Do you mind if I jump on that just before we jump on the next one? Is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't want to be rude. I know you were instantly going to share something else, but it makes me think about like the concept of silos. Right, we can see silos as bad things. It's in our industry. It's like it's stopping communication. It's stopping collaboration. I wonder. It's a hot take. When used correctly, can silos create constraints that are necessary to build good software? Or put another way, do some silos create constraints that create necessary friction? So stuff where we have to stop, we then are forced to, which then I guess saying it out loud then breaks down the silos. So maybe I'm countering my point while saying it out loud. I don't know. Maybe there is something about silos and constraints that are useful when I think about roles and responsibility and boundaries and who owns what and all that stuff, particularly as a counter to, everybody owns quality. And it's like, well, if we say that, what does that actually really mean? So I don't know, just got me thinking that.
Yeah, and like you say, that that there are, I don't think you can ever get rid of silos. And like I say, we had our engineering teams, for example, we split them down and said, okay, we're going to be product focused. And then what happened was there wasn't a kind of communication or understanding around the customer sectors that each of these product people were serving. So then we flipped it and said, oh, okay, well, let's restructure the teams into being more customer focused teams, and the products are shared across those teams. Then it created the silo of like, not everyone understands the products across or understands the customer sectors. So yeah, it's, I think, like you say, there are good silos and bad silos. You will never get rid of them. They will always be there. So you have to try and manage the silos that are damaging and the silos that are actually, like you say, providing the necessary focus. And then those ones that are providing the focus, making sure that part of those routines are bridging the gap of sharing that knowledge of at the right points, where things are sort of going on. Yeah.
Totally. Reminds me of like Conway's law. Is it about communication structure? So there's the structure, and I'll grab a line here. The structure of a software system tends to mirror the communication structure of the organization that builds it. Sounds a bit of a mouthful, but yes, I think I agree with Conway's law. But it just made me think about that kind of how things are built is how teams are set up and how they communicate with each other.
Yeah.
It's a law, so it's right? We can't possibly question it. Of course we can question it. Of course we can say, Conway, no, I disagree with you. This is a hot take episode, Conway.
Yeah, and on the, just flipping to the other one, and then Demi can come back. That there was on the exploratory testing one. I'm a massive fan of exploratory testing, and I'd say it's probably been the most powerful tool, and that we've ever kind of used in our testing. And I could back that up with, because I'm a stats nut. I could back that up with like stats from like all the tests. What types of tests found the most issues? I can guarantee you it's going to be exploratory tests. I think I actually did a quick one about automated versus the other tests, and 76% of the issues we found over this year were from other tests. Only 24 were found from like automated tests. And
Wow.
I kind of had this thing where automated tests are designed to prove something is still working. Exploratory tests are designed to find something that isn't. And it's the focus of the two that basically your objective on both is different. So I think that's why. That's why it's so powerful. Now, when I kind of I didn't mean to criticize my team, but they do understand, they are getting better at it. But sometimes when you've got like experienced teams that have built test packs and everything, and they've got like, this test pack, we execute this, we're going to find everything. And it's like, yeah, but it'll take quite a long while to run if we run them all. And if I sit here with your experience and I say, run all of the tests or leave you in front of that product for a day and you just go find the weaknesses, I know which method is going to find the most issues. And that's what I'm trying to kind of like, and they're getting it. They're getting there slowly. But we also have this kind of like constraint of like having to document sometimes our evidence depending on particular clients. So it does become a bit messy at times, but from the testing perspective, absolutely, it's totally invaluable. Yeah. Demi's here.
Thank you for sharing, Gary. Alexander, any comments on that just before we bring Demi on? I know you might wanted to have unmuted and jumped in.
Not a problem. So yeah, I completely agree that exploratory testing is a relevant thing, but there are a lot of people who don't know how to do exploratory testing well. So that's the gap that we can fill, or we can explain how to do it.
Yeah, indeed. Demi, let's press the add to stage button. Here we go. Hooray! Welcome, Demi.
I thought you guys were lonely, so I thought, let me join the stage. Some more people here. Yes. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Thanks, Demi. And how's your week in quality? I'm loving the AMAs, by the way. The answers are fantastic. So thank you for doing that.
Well, I just came back from vacation, and as you noticed, I got a lot of inspiration on vacation. Like, really, I kept bothering the testers on my team, like, guys, I had another ID. And I just kept teasing them with all the IDs because I didn't tell them what it was until I got back. So they had to wait for my vacation to end. So Helene can confirm you to this. Like, I had a lot of IDs and I had to wait until Wednesday for me to tell them about it. But it's okay. They now know. They're very excited about all my IDs. They're on board. So we'll see how that goes. No, but as always, when you come back from vacation, it's like checking what all happened here. So apparently not a lot. When I go on vacation, not a lot happens in my team. It's really, but no, that just meant that I needed to make things happen. So when I got back, I nearly started pressing all the buttons and breaking stuff. So I got all of them to work. Because that is what I do when I come back to work. No, but to get back to the hot takes, I wanted to get back a bit to the exploratory testing because I remembered a time where Helene and me, we were going to MonoCon last year. And there was a lot of things to test. So I told the analyst, I need you guys' help. Like, here is an application. And it's a very simple application. You all know the application. And it needs like regression testing. Like, just see if it still all works like how it used to before, regression testing the application. And just try stuff, exploratory testing. And I got back and it didn't have done anything. They were like, we didn't know what to do. What do you mean? You know how the application works, right? go press the buttons. And they didn't know where to start. They didn't know what to do. So I was like, how? Why? What did we feel? But yeah, no. So one of my goals for this year is trying to prevent that from happening, because I was aware this year that the testers are going to be very busy. They have so much to do. So one of my goals for this year is trying to get other team members to know how to do some testing. So I'm going to try and teach them a bit on how to do exploratory testing or basic tests or something like that. So when I need them, they can cover some things for me. And actually, during this week in testing, one of them messaged me like, "Hey, Demi, I took a look at all the plannings for the summer, and I saw you are very present this summer. Do you maybe have time, like an hour every week, to teach me how to test this application?" So I was like, "Easy, I'll make time for that, of course." So I'm happily seeing that the silos are breaking down a bit. Like, they are actively trying to learn how to test, and I'm working on it. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys.
That's brilliant. That's a major win to for a teammate to say, "Hey, come teach me." That's so cool. Very, very cool. Wonderful, Demi. Well, bug congrats on that. That's a milestone. That's very, very good. And yeah, do let us know how you get on with that, like the techniques you use to teach people. If you are able to share that with the community, then others might go, "Oh yeah, I could use that technique to teach my developers how to do exploratory testing." Yeah, I think there's more to be done, right? I think more practical examples. So, our reference back to Software Testing Live is a good example of watching a couple of testing quality professionals exploring together, thinking through their test approach, the questions they'd ask, that kind of thing, and how they'd actually go about exploring is very cool. Yeah, it feels like many more opportunities for us to start sharing more of what we get up to when we actually think about exploratory testing, how we plan for it and how we actually do it, and then how we run our debriefs and all of that stuff. So yeah, I would say as a community, let's work on that and see what's possible. For sure. Righty. Any other hot takes before we wrap up? I see we are coming to the top of the hour. Maybe it is a good time to wrap things up. But Alexander, Gary, or Demi, as you're on stage, feel free to take a moment to share your final hot take if you do have one. No pressure to do so if you don't.
I'm out. I haven't got anything.
So good, Gary.
These were beautiful ones to get focused on. Definitely.
Love it. Well, if they spark reflections and, from what we discussed, if they help anyone listening today, if it helps you create a moment, share your hot take on the hot takes, completely disagree with it all, argue your case and say, I disagree with what you talked about, everybody. Here's my hot take, and just go for it, right? We want these conversations to happen. We want these debates to happen and start pointing people in different directions. Are we missing something? Is there a part of the community somewhere that we're not aware of that is having these conversations already, whether it's about AI chatbot dependency or exploratory testing or other hot takes that are happening across the globe right now? We want to hear from you, so let us know. I like that, Alexander. Hot take. That's got to be the episode title, right? Okay, everybody. Well, let's wrap up here. Thank you so much for everyone who's joined us live and hung out in the chat and shared your reflections. Very grateful for that. And to yourself, Alexander, Demi, and Gary for joining the stage. Grateful. The Multiverse is a community where we can come together and talk about all things tech, quality and testing and beyond. We like to describe it as your career companion. It's there to support you. There's some amazing people who are part of this community that can help you with your career. If you want to get the most out of it, we do recommend getting yourself a professional membership. Just head over to ministryoftesting.com/membership. Get all the details there. And if you're looking for something to help you think about how you could learn with the Multiverse, do a search for ITC model. That might give you some ideas about how you can learn as an individual, team, and as a community. But signing off for today, we shall see you all around the multiverse. But for now, we'll see you soon. Bye for now.